Meeting to order. A quick roll call. Looks like we have all of our trustees currently here this morning. And so we're going to move to item 2.1, our welcome and pledge allegiance. And we're going to go ahead and have Trustee Jeffries lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We just want to welcome all of you guys for being here in a midday. We appreciate you guys coming out, and we do have public comment cards, so we appreciate your participation in this process as well. Just a quick on the agenda, there was an error in item 2.1 that has been remedied on the screen tonight, but just so you know, that will be amended. Board President is no longer Deborah Branham. All right, we're going to go ahead and move to item 2.2, approval of the special meeting agenda. And are there any changes that need to be made? I'm going to go ahead and take a quick roll call of our candidates for today, just to make sure that you are here. John Burdett. Thank you. Roy Emerson Lake. Taffy Maurer. Thank you. Sean Smith. Thank you. Tracy Tweet. And Joshua Cooper. Not here. So we are going to, given that Joshua Cooper is not here for the interview, are we planning, I'm assuming we're just going to move this applicant aside. Okay. So his name will not be in the drawing. We'll move this to the side. And do we have a motion for item 2.2, approval of the special meeting agenda with the removal of Joshua Cooper from the applicant pool?
I move approval.
I'll second.
First and a second on item 2.2, approval of the special meeting agenda. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Item 3, action items are interview applicants and appointment to fill the board vacancy. That's why you're all here today. And all right, I'm gonna move to a script. we're gonna keep this orderly today. We have our counsel, William Tunick, zooming in here and participating remotely. And so, with that being said, with the recent resignation of Ron Oates, it obviously created a vacancy on our board. During our December 17th meeting, the board decided to fill the vacancy by appointment and directed staff to make available applicants to those seeking appointment. Applications were available from December 18th to January 7th and posted on the district website. The district received 6 applications which were deemed eligible by the board subcommittee. The applications submitted were posted as part of the board agenda. The board appreciates the interest of all applicants in serving the district as part of the board and expects that the board will have a difficult decision before it today. We want to thank all of the applicants for coming forward as part of this process. While the board may only select one applicant to fill the seat, we want to let you know that there are many ways besides filling the vacancy that you can support the district, and we hope that you will take advantage of those opportunities. Before we get started, I wanted to let everyone know how the board plans to make this decision. The board has reviewed all of the applications and looks forward to hearing from the applicants. We will begin by asking all applicants the same 4 questions so that each has the same opportunity to respond. A drawing will be conducted to determine the order in which the applicants will answer the questions. Each applicant will have 2 minutes to answer each question. The staff member or myself will let applicants know when the time for each question has elapsed. I believe we'll also be projecting the time similar to public comment, so you know, that's a little bit of pressure, but you can do it. And we'll ask all the other applicants to wait outside while waiting your turn, so everyone has a fair process here. After all the applicants have an opportunity to speak, there will be an opportunity for public comment, which we do have public comment cards, as I stated previously. Following the public comment, each board member will identify in no particular order their top 3 candidates. and they may or may not choose to give 3. They could give 1 or 2 or 3. At that time, the board may entertain a motion for appointment, and if a motion is made and receives the affirmative votes of 3 members, the applicant will be provisionally appointed. If no motion is made or receives the affirmative votes of 3 members, the board will move to a second round of interviews for finalists. Finalists will be those applicants who are listed by at least 2 board members. If this results in more than 4 finalists, the process will be repeated with each board member identifying their top 2 applicants, and those applicants who are listed by at least 2 board members will be the finalists. In the reverse order of the first round, each finalist will be asked the same 3 questions and be provided 2 minutes to answer each question. Finalists will be asked to remain outside until it's their turn to interview. After the second round of questions, the public will be provided another opportunity to comment on the appointment. The board will then deliberate or entertain a motion for appointment. If a motion is made and receives the affirmative votes of 3 members, the applicant will be provisionally appointed. Hope you guys are following. All right, the successful applicant will be administered the oath and take their seat on the board following their appointment. And it will be that one. So if we come to an agreement, which I believe we will. Before we begin, I would like to ask, I've got a basket here. I'll go ahead and have our board clerk here to my right to select the applicants' names to determine the order of the first round of interviews. The first name drawn will be our first interviewee. Please wait. You don't need to exit yet until we have our final order. And we will announce the names as they're drawn. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, please.
Okay. Taffy Maurer will go first. Followed by Sean Smith. John Burdette. And Tracy Tweet. And Emerson Lake. I'm assuming.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We will now begin the first round of questions, and I would like all of the applicants, obviously when it's your turn, to step to the podium and ask the other applicants to step outside. Our communications officer, Sarah Rath, will direct each of the applicants back from the other room. I think you guys are heading across the way here, so I think she'll guide you over there at this time, and when it's your turn, you'll be called back by Sarah. Thank you very much. And Taffy, yeah, you may stay and hang tight. We'll let the other candidates leave and get organized here. Perfect. Thank you, Desiree. Desiree is placing the questions at the podium at this time so that you won't have to ask us to repeat it. You'll be able to look at that. And just as a reminder to our board, and we each of us have a script in front of us, that questions to each applicant will be limited to those below. Each trustee will ask a question, and each applicant will have the same opportunity to answer the same question. So we will not be asking follow-up questions at this time because another applicant may not have the same question. We want to make sure we have a fair process. We good?
Understood.
Okay, excellent. Happy? Yep, come on down. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Board, each of the applicants also have their applications inside of your packet if you wanted to have that side by side as we go through this process. Okay. We're going to kick it off with Trustee Underwood.
First of all, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Mr. Underwood, make sure your microphone's
Tap your microphone.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
How do you view the competency-based education and promoting equity in education, and why?
Thank you. Yeah, I was a teacher for many, many years, and I've seen these these kinds of movements come around to individualized instruction. It takes a special teacher to handle that. I think it should be something where the faculty or maybe departments, they would decide how they want to approach that. But I really think it boils down to also how our parents feel about it. I know personally, I was not real happy with what I saw and heard, but I'm not there in the classroom. I have a grandson at the school, and I have 2 Golden Eagles coming up. So that, I think sometimes it's how it's rolled out. But right now, I think it needs to be parent choice with teachers collaborating with parents and our students to decide how they want to move forward on this.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. What is your stance on inclusion of transgender athletes in girls' sports? And how would you address the issue while considering the diverse perspectives within the community, state of California, and the county?
I am opposed to transgender athletes in girls' sports. Having been an athlete myself, I just can't even imagine. I was on the swim team in high school, varsity swim team. I just can't even imagine. That is something where we have to tread very carefully. I'm just trying to still see the question here. How would you address this issue while considering the diverse perspectives? Yes, we have diverse perspectives, but I do believe that transgender athletes do not belong in girls' sports. It's something where we talk with the community, we ask the community to give us the direction on that. But that's what I believe, if you're asking what I believe.
Thank you.
All right. How do you say your last name, ma'am?
Mauer, like power.
Thank you. All right. So I have a 2-part question here. So here it goes. Do your values, beliefs, and priorities align with the community? And what steps will you take to ensure you represent them when making decisions for the students, parents, and the community?
Thank you. That's a great question. We moved to this community 20 years ago. I moved ahead before even my grandkids were born because I'm that grandma. I drive around with the big DO in the back of my car. And I was ready. I was ready to have kids in this school. And I am definitely part of the community. I'm very active in the community. I don't stand out like somebody who is controversial in the community because our community, we're stronger together. We work together. We can move mountains. We can do anything. And I want to be part of the extensive pride and the wonderful culture of our community here at Placer Union High School District.
Thank you.
For your final question, you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
I know this is a lot of pressure. In recent years, considering the voting record of the Board of Trustees, did you agree or disagree with the board's actions, and what are your reasons? As an example, COVID masking and school closures. However, you may elaborate on any decision of the board.
Yeah, I agree recently on the decision of the board for competency-based education, for sure. If I had my way there, you do not take children out of school. You do not. I watched my one youngest grandson went to school for 3 years wearing a mask. I mean, how do you learn? He's in TK. How do you learn for phonics, how reading? How do you do that? How do you listen and hear and watch the person's mouth? So I agree with everything you've had to do and could do within your power because you did what you could. And that's, if the board, would have liked to have seen the board just say no masks. Sometimes you have to go with what's going on with the community. And if you're not listening to the community, I think if you'd listened to the community, there would have been no masks. That's the community. So I hope I answered that question for you because I feel strongly that I represent the community and I know how we felt in the community.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Is that the end? Oh,
And
goodness
that's it.
gracious. Okay, I'm leaving him right here for the next person.
Thank you very much, Jackie.
Thank you.
What was her first name?
Sean. Board, our next is Sean. So if you wanted to pull his application forward, same questions apply. Welcome, Mr. Smith. Thank you for
Hello.
being here today.
Sean Smith.
Great, thank you. Trustee Underwood?
Ready to roll? Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
The question I have for you is, how do you view the competency-based education and promoting equity in education, and why?
And why?
And why?
So I know that the CBE program was rolled out last year, and it's I think its adoption has been slow. You guys tried to do a measured approach of doing it. In the research and feedback I've gotten from different members, I feel like it's been a challenge, but I feel like there's also, with anything, any change, there's always challenges with change. And so it seems like you guys are looking at measures to see ways of maybe tweaking or adjusting the program as needed to ensure that it covers the overarching goals of making sure the education and that the students are able to learn different things versus just attain a grade. And regardless of whatever their background is or anything like that, I feel like the program needs to continue to evolve to meet the needs of the students in our area. I don't know that I have enough information or data to understand what that looks like, but I would, if needed, I would try to gather as much information from teachers and parents and students and whatnot, and try to see where I feel like it needs to go to continue to achieve the goal, the ultimate goal that it has.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can we remind them that the questions are in front of them? Can we remind them that the questions are in front of them?
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, questions in front of you as well, if you need to take a look. All right. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. I'll ask the next question. What is your stance on the inclusion of transgender athletes in girls' sports? And how would you address the issue while also considering the diverse perspectives within the community, state of California, and Placer County?
Well, that's a challenging one. I feel like that it is, biological males. Their bodies are different than biological females, and that in certain arenas there's an unfair advantage. And so in terms of like running, swimming, basketball, biological boys competing against biological girls, I don't think is very fair. I feel like everybody needs a fair chance to compete against the other contestants that are there, and I don't think it's fair for biological girls to compete against those that are given a higher advantage, more or less, because of their biology. And so I don't think it's fair to have biological boys, competing against girls, which is typically what we're hearing in the news and everything today. How you work that with the perspectives of the state of California, that's the juggling match. Trying to make sure you play nice and adhere to the rules that they do. But my stance is that you need to make it fair for all those competing in the sports that they're in, and whatever that is.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. My question is actually a two-part question, and hopefully it's there in front of you as well.
Yep.
My question is, do your values, beliefs, and priorities align with the community? And what steps will you take to ensure that you represent them when making decisions for the students, parents, and the community?
So the first part, yeah, I do believe that my beliefs, values. I grew up in Roseville. I've been in the area. I've lived in Newcastle, where I currently live now. I've lived there for 5 years. I consider myself a Placer County native, and I feel like I do have a lot of the core values that a lot of the community members have. I'm a father of 3. My youngest is now a senior at Del Oro, and so he's on his way out. And I've very much appreciated all the leadership that the school boards and other teachers and everybody has done for all of my kids, and I hope to be able to continue that nurture for all students going forward. And in terms of the second aspect of it, what steps would I take to ensure? I would just use that lens as different questions, policies, and decisions come up with, whether it's dealing with funding or dealing with how to handle different things with education and whatnot, trying to make sure that we do what would be representative, make decisions that would represent the community and the families that are here, that care about their kids and want them to have a fair and equitable education, and be able to best prepare them to be great adults in giving back to the community.
Thank you.
Last and final question. In recent years, considering the voting record of the Board of Trustees, did you agree or disagree with the board's actions, and what are your reasons? As examples, COVID masking and school closures. However, you may elaborate on any decision of the board.
I'll probably stick with the example. The COVID masking and the school closures, I think the board made the best decision with the information they had at the time. I think it was a tough decision. I think if we look back and with the information we have now, we probably would have made decisions. Maybe it might have been different, but given the information, the data at the time, there was a lot of unknowns. There wasn't clarity on the effectiveness of different things, or how bad different things would be. And so there was also the unintended consequences with school closures and what that did to the kids, and all the effects that has on them being at work, being at home. And if anybody had kids that were doing school from home, you understand what that was and how uneducational that experience was for them. Even though we were doing the best we had with the tools that we had, it was just, that was tough. And so I feel like the board made probably the right decision at the time with the information they had. But I think that if we would have been given other, looking back, I think we would have, with the information we have today, I think we would have made different decisions.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right. It looks like John Burdette is next. That's Sean Smith. That was Sean Smith.
Yeah, that was Sean. That was Sean Smith.
And then on deck is Tracy.
Can you remind them that the questions are up there?
Oh,
'Cause
yes.
these guys didn't hear that.
Yeah. Yep. Welcome, John.
Hello.
I was just reminded by Trustee Jeffries to let you know that the questions are right in front of you.
Oh,
Just so that you have that for your reference through this
Okay.
process.
Thank
you
you.
for reminding. All righty.
all right. So my name is John Burdette, and thank you for allowing me to interview here today. So the first question is,
Oh, we'll go ahead and
Oh.
allow the trustees to ask you,
okay,
and then you take it away.
great.
Welcome. My question for you is pretty important, I think, in the long haul. How do you view competency-based education and promoting equity in education, and why?
Okay. I don't think they're in order here, right?
They
Oh,
should be.
okay, yeah. So competency-based education, to me, means that we need to make sure that our students are actually learning the materials that we're presenting. And I know that that's probably why we went to this new grading system, to ensure that no student was left behind. And promoting equity, to me, is very important. I don't believe that anybody should be held back because of race, religion, sexual gender, there on and there forth. I think every citizen in the United States deserves a very high quality public education, and I will do everything in my power to support that.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. What's your stance on the inclusion of transgender athletes in girls' sports, and how would you address the issue while considering the diverse perspectives within the community, the state of California, and Placer County?
Well, my stance on the inclusion of transgender athletes in girls' sports is probably not a positive one. I do not believe that there is an advantage to allowing certain transgender athletes in girls' sports. I mean, you saw the boxing match at the Olympics, and to me, it wasn't really fair. I do believe that it's a big issue, and that we definitely need to make sure that our students are safe and they understand, why this is happening.
All right, next is my question, and my question is kind of a two-part. So here's the first part. Do your values, beliefs, and priorities align with the community? Then the second part, and what steps will you take to ensure that you represent them when making decisions for the students, parents, and the community?
I do believe my values and beliefs are aligned with the community. I've been a community member in Newcastle, living on Oak Terrace since 2007. My wife and I have volunteered at our school districts in the past, coaching sports events. We just recently started going to Freedom Point, which is church at Del Oro. And with respect to aligning our values with the community, I believe it's very important to listen to the community members, to try to have a deep understanding of their issues, problems, concerns, and to really take that in consideration when making decisions here at the board level. We'll be setting policy and reviewing budgets and allocating funds for certain things. And we want to make sure that those decisions are in line with the community because that's who we serve.
Thank you.
And your last, but certainly not least question. In recent years, considering the voting record of the Board of Trustees, did you agree or disagree with the board's actions, and what are your reasons? As examples, COVID masking and school closures. However, you may elaborate on any decision of the board.
Throughout the years, I have agreed with most of the decisions of the board. During COVID, I believe masking was important in the beginning when we didn't know what it was. School closures, I believe, were appropriate when we didn't know exactly what it was. As time went on, though, I believe that my stance on that eased. I believed that our children did miss a lot of in-person learning education by not being in school. It was hard for them to keep up online, although the technology is awesome, and I was very grateful that we had the technology to continue lessons and programming. And yeah, I've always stand behind all the board's decisions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And there's the thumbs here.
As well. If it weren't you, it would have been me. I'm always the first to spill something at Thanksgiving. It's true. All right, looks like we've got Tracy Tweet, and then our final on deck is Emerson Lake. for being with us this afternoon, Mrs.
Thank you
Tweet.
for having me.
All right. The questions are in front of you so that you can
Okay.
use that as a review, but we're going to have the trustees go ahead and read those questions to you one at a time, and just be aware that that timer's going, and you're welcome to fill it. So
Sounds good. Thank you.
you bet.
I want to welcome you here, and my question for you is as follows. How do you view competency-based education and promoting equity in education, and why?
All right, well, thank you for the question. I have two kids that have graduated from DO in the last 2 years, so 23 and 24, and they had a taste of CBE versus traditional. They were very aware of which teachers were CBE teachers and which teachers were traditional, so they learned how to kind of associate and play to that. I've been listening to the discussion from the 5-hour meeting that you guys had to have the other night. And I view CBE as trying to be equitable. We're trying to not produce kids that know how to get an A just because they know the answers and they've memorized it, but they've actually internalized the skills and the knowledge that they need in order to master the material. So the approach is right, but the execution was not thought out, right? So the intentions were good, but we all know that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I think, like Mr. Pfeffer presented, only 9.7% of the teachers want to keep CBE the way it is. And however, the majority of them don't want to get rid of it. And that's because it has good intentions. The principle of CBE reaching out to the scales and saying these are the competencies that you need to master in order to go on is what I think teachers want. They want to be able to do that, but we have to think through the execution so that every student is given an opportunity to succeed. And we have to remember, success is not the same for every kiddo. So my time is up, so I'm gonna stop.
Thank you.
Tracy, thanks for being here. What is your stance on the inclusion of transgender athletes in girls' sports? And how would you address this issue while considering the diverse perspectives within the community, the state of California, and Placer County?
Wow, this is not one I thought would be on here. So I think it's really important, though, especially in this state. I teach at American River College, and I teach, most of my students are ages 18 and 25. Taffy just called me, hey, you're the undertaker, and I am. I run Chapel of the Hills here in town, and another one in Placerville. And the students that come into funeral services are alternative. They are, I see this every day. People who are comfortable with death are comfortable with alternative lifestyles for the most part. So I respect them. Now, an 18-year-old is very much more aware of who they are than, say, a 14-year-old. And I mean, I'm going to say me personally, and I'm not saying that the stance of the board should be a personal thing. We're here to release all of our personal views and be here to represent the student population that we are here to represent. Me personally, I don't think that that is where students should be if they are identifying with a different gender. And that's my personal view. However, I do want to represent every student here in the district. And so I don't know what the right answer is, to be honest with you. And if it's asking me that, I don't know, because I would have to hear what the perspectives are of those individual kiddos. But I personally do not feel that that is fair or right when I see that. So might not be the most PC answer, but that's what I would feel. Yeah.
All right, ma'am. So my question is kind of a two-part question, so here goes. Do your values, beliefs, and priorities align with the community? And what steps will you take to ensure you represent them when making decisions for the students, parents, and the community?
So I was thinking about this the other day. We're all busy people. All of these applicants are amazing. One of them is my actual dentist. Okay, so I was like, I'm so glad you're here. If my tooth falls out, you're here to put it back in. Everyone here is qualified. And we all, I run a staff of many people. I serve families who are grieving in the community. I've actually had the opportunity to serve families who have lost children in our district, as well as teachers that we've lost. So I get it. I get the core and the fabric of why Placer Union is who it is. My 3 children will graduate. I've got one coming in the fall. And my husband went to Placer Union High School in 1994. I think Miss Berry was there when he was there. She was the cheer coach. But in the end, what's the most important thing I do every day? It's make my daughter's lunch. And I think that, and I was PTC president at Placer Elementary for a very long time, way too long. There's a special place in heaven for PTC presidents. But at the end of the day, the most important thing I do is I make Megan's lunch. And it's because I am showing her that I'm here to support her through her day. So I'm making right choices. I'm here for you, baby. And I'm sending you out to the world. And I think that's kind of, and I'm not saying buying your lunch is bad, because she does that too. But in the end, the fabric of our community is supporting our kids in any way that we can. You might be someone who works night shifts, but you can maybe be there in the classroom for a half hour on a weekday. That's why we're all here. That's why we choose Placer Union. We want to pack these kids' lunches, metaphorically speaking, and I think that's what this community is about. So,
Thank you.
All right, and our last question for you is, in recent years, considering the voting record of the Board of Trustees, did you agree or disagree with the board's actions, and what are your reasons? As examples, COVID masking or school closures. However, you may elaborate on any decision of the board.
So I've been with Placer Union now for 5 years, with Loomis Union much longer. However, I want to say what I really appreciate as I was reading the website is that these decisions, that you guys collaborate with the elementary schools and also the JCs, which also I teach at the JC level, like I just said. So it's really nice to see when there is that continuum between all of the districts and where that's going. With that being said, what happens for me at DO needs to happen at Placer Elementary. I can't be on 2 different pages masking one kid up and the other one being independent. So I appreciate that there is conversation. I think that because there's 5 of you, and Steve, sorry, Dr. Kemenity here, that the decisions are the right decisions. Because I believe, again, in the process. I recognize too, and I want to say this, I recognize this is usually a voted position, so the people didn't get to elect these people, whoever's going to be here. And so that is definitely an honor to be here to do that. But I would say that what the school said, I went with, because I knew that it was well thought out, and that you guys are thinking about all of the students that there's 3,823 kids in our district, and 5 of you making that decision for them. So I agreed with whatever had to happen, and I teach my kids that. My kids understand that. I have a master's in public health, so when it came to COVID, they understood why and that the district was looking out for their best interests. It was tough. It was really tough. Kids don't like masks on unless they've got a zit or something, then it works. But other than that, it was tough. So thank you for making those decisions.
Thank you very much. And that is all for
Thank
now.
you.
Thank you. All right, we have our last applicant, Dr. Lake.
Names aren't listed here, are they?
I don't believe. All right. Welcome. Thank you for being with us here, Dr. Lake.
Thanks.
All right. Just as a reference, you do have the questions in front of you on the podium.
Okay.
Where the trustees will still ask the questions in that order, just so that you have some time if you need to look down and refresh. Just be aware of that timer in front of you. All righty. Take it away, Trustee Underwood.
Welcome. I'm glad you're here. My question for you is, how do you view the competency-based education and promoting equity in education, and why?
Thank you for the question. I have some hands-on experience going through this transition the last several years with the competency-based education program because of my kids. I have my youngest is in 8th grade now. I have a son that's a sophomore. I have a son that graduated last year, and then 2 daughters who graduated, several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so, watching the progression of education, especially in mathematics, and that stands out the most to me because I don't love it. I'll be honest. Compared to the way that we learn math, to what they have to go through today, it's challenging. And I know that math it builds on itself. But I'm fascinated by what prompted the whole change in direction to go towards, to change the whole structure of education, so to speak. And I think a lot of it had to do with equity in education. And I think that that's like a really important topic. And I feel like there are a lot of students that are left behind, that come from different backgrounds. They come from different support systems at home. And, I looked at all the statistics and the results that are coming out through the different slides that were provided from past board meetings. And, it looks like there's a few more A's and that there's fewer people failing. And so it looks promising, but I don't know. I think that there's more information that I feel like I need to process. But yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks for being here, Emerson. What is your stance on the inclusion of transgender athletes in girls' sports? And how would you address the issue while considering the diverse perspectives within the community, the state of California, and Placer County?
Mm-hmm. Having a daughter involved with, she plays basketball. I personally am not in favor of transgender athletes involved in particularly girls' sports. And I don't mean to be controversial. It just doesn't sit right with me. I don't think that well, there's so many different things to unpack with that, but you could focus on the injury aspect, where I've seen games where there's a dominant athlete on the floor, and the other female athletes are just, they're dominated, and it just, again, it doesn't sit right. I think that girls work very hard to achieve a level of excellence, and to have it just seems like a disadvantage if a transgender athlete can come into the sport and take first prize.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sir. My question is kind of a two-parter, hopefully it's there still in front of you. So here goes. Do your values, beliefs, and priorities align with the community? And what steps will you take to ensure that you represent them when making decisions for the students, parents, and community?
I live in Loomis. I've been there for 15 years, and I would say that my values do align with the community. I've been fortunate enough to raise 5 pretty good kids, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here today, is because I'm grateful for this school system. I mean, it's the K through 8 has been a blessing for our family. My kids have all attended Placer Elementary, and we're just grateful. We feel like it's a great community to raise a family, and yeah, I think that my values align with the community in that regard. And there was a second part. What will you do to ensure you represent them when making decisions for students, parents, and community? Yeah, I love that the school board represents the community, and it's a way to. It's really remarkable. I mean, this district has been around over 100 years, and there's been changes over the decades based on what's happening in the community. So I'm grateful for the system that exists, where it seems like the community really has a voice, and it comes through you all. You know, I think you just live your life. You be the best person that you can be, and I think your values show through in the way that you discuss the challenges that are before you, and then when things need to be voted on, yeah, oftentimes you do vote with your values. So hopefully I answered your question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dr. Lake. This is your final question of the day, and you're our final candidate before we have our first round of deliberation. In recent years, considering the voting record of the Board of Trustees, did you agree or disagree with the board's actions, and what are your reasons? As examples, COVID masking and school closures. However, you may elaborate on any decision of the board.
You bring up the school closures. That was really tough for our family. We had a freshman and a junior in high school, and everything shut down. My practice shut down, and it was a very challenging time, and some difficult decisions had to be made. I personally was not in favor of the masking, especially for the young children. Hindsight's 2020. I get that, but at the time, it just seemed like people in the community that were the most vulnerable, the focus should have been not with healthy kids, but with the more vulnerable in the population. And so I personally didn't think that was a good decision. And I think the ramifications are still being played out. I think we're learning things, some of the harm that happened to young people that had to go through a pandemic. It has lasting effects, and it still does with my own kids. I mean, they spend a lot of time, in their bedrooms with their computers, and it was hard on a lot of people. So I'll just say that.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
And that's it
All right.
for now.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right. Are we inviting? Oh, yep. Technically, I guess they can if they'd like, but they could wait out until we find out who's coming to the second round. William, do you have advisement on whether the candidates should or should not come back into the room?
I think it's up to them at this point while you're doing public comment and
Okay.
the ranking
Well,
and usually just during the interviews that it makes sense for them to be outside.
Up to them at this point, or they may wait until after public comment?
Yes.
Okay. We'll give them a moment just in case they want to come back in. There's no unfair advantage when there's no question being asked.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks, William. We just want to thank all of our applicants for your answers, and I would now like to ask for the public comment. So each member of the public wishing to provide a comment will be allotted 3 minutes. I will go in the order that this has been given to me. Should you choose to participate in the public comment, you do not need to provide us with a blue comment card, but if you did, we do appreciate that. Alrighty. First up will be Barbara Smith, followed by Carol Coons, and then Elizabeth Lamelli. So first up, Barbara Smith.
Good afternoon. I actually had not planned on speaking today. I think I said everything I had to say about this board in my editorial that was published this weekend in the Gold Country Media. I hope you had a chance to read it. But I was extraordinarily concerned about the tenor of the questions that you asked these applicants. With the exception of the question on CBE, why are you asking about transgender students? Who is judging what those community values are that you're trying to see? And then why are you so concerned about prior board decisions? We need to be looking toward the future. Where's the concern about the achievement gap? Where's the concern about preparing our students for the challenges they face? Where is the concern about our new superintendent search? And so it really disturbs me that you focus on these political and cultural issues instead of educational issues. We are here to choose a board member. We are not here to choose a member of your fan club. Also, I was concerned that one of the applicants specifically used disinformation about transgender women when he's discussing the Olympic boxer. That didn't happen. The woman that they claim was transgender is a woman, a biological woman. And when we persist in using disinformation to try and promote a political or cultural viewpoint, then people aren't able to make appropriate decisions. And I hope you'll take that into consideration thinking about what that particular applicant said. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Carol Coons, again followed by Elizabeth Lamelli, and then Ed Coons.
Good afternoon. So I've been a resident of this area since my family moved here when I was 17. I graduated from Del Oro. My kids attended district high schools and had good experiences in them. And in a few years, my grandkids will be attending Placer High School, so I'm invested. This morning, I looked over our district mission statement, committed to student learning by providing teaching excellence in a supportive environment. And there's been so much talk in the questions today about reflecting the values of the community as if our community is a monolith. Our community is diverse. You've got families who live in Los Lagos and families who are homeless. So which community are you listening to? You've got families who have different ethnic traditions, different cultural traditions, different religious backgrounds, families which are stable where the moms can, or not just the moms, the parent can make their kids lunch, and other chaotic families where kids are doing it themselves, getting themselves to school themselves. So which community are you talking about? That's why I love our mission statement. It's not community, it's students. It's student achievement. And as I've looked over the applications and listened to the responses to the interview questions, I've been impressed with Tracy Tweet, and I think she'd be an excellent board member. She's focused on students, and she has a long history of service to schools and leadership in Parents Club and fundraising for aquatics, been a member of other community organizations. She just seems to have the broad experience and the focus on students that's so important for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, Elizabeth Lamelli, followed by Ed Coons, and then Blake Stratton.
Good afternoon, board, district admin, and public. So I am approaching in the sense of what feedback I have heard. So this is not anything official. This is just what members of our community have said in terms of to me. So it sounds like that the overarching is, what will this new board member bring to the board? So we have some holes right now. We have some places that are filled. We have some holes. One of those is experience. We have one person with quite a bit of experience on the board. And frankly, there's a lot of newness, right? In a lot of different areas. And so the people that have spoken to me have said that Tracy Tweet seems like she has a good range of experience, not only within our school district, but also within our community. And she has that connection to ARC, which would be helpful because we're trying to focus on college and career readiness for the students. And then there, to a lesser extent, but also that voice was also heard, that John Burdett, some people were very interested in him because of the facilities aspect. We do have some issues within building and maintenance that would be ideally addressed in terms of what is available for our students and teachers to work with, right? We have aging electronics, we have holes in some of the walls, we have roof leaks, and on, right? And so those were the two that I heard about and wanted to make sure that I shared that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ed Coons?
You know, I don't have anything to add.
Oh.
Bill Coons said everything I was going to say.
Okay, thank you. I feel my husband would have done the same thing, just for the record, Ed. All right, Blake Stratton, followed by our final, unless there's others, Jill Gallardo.
Hello, honorable trustees. My name is Blake Stratton, and I feel fortunate enough to go to Delaware High, where I'm a junior. My grandmother, Taffy Maurer, is running for trustee for this school board. She's an extraordinary grandmother, and she's been a realtor for some time with my mom. But before this, she was a teacher and a curriculum support specialist for Rio Linda High School District. My grandma is a very hard-working individual, and even though she should be retired, she works hard every single day, and she's very humble, supportive, and smart. And she somehow always makes enough food for me to come over at night. One of the reasons my grandma is a candidate for this was because of her dedication and focus to any individual or any set goal she has. My mother is a good example of my grandma's core values and dedication as well. My grandmother was a teacher for 25 years, and even though she hasn't taught in a while, she understands the needs and values of high schoolers. My grandma is like the saying, the good old days. An example is this when me and my brothers would argue and fight, my grandmother would pull my ear and say, "You need to stop that, you're more mature." This is why we need a little bit of the old school in today's world. I feel like my grandma is a 100% perfect candidate for this position, and I hope you will highly consider her. Thank you.
Thank you, Blake. I don't know if there's ever a better review than by one of your babies. Thank you, Blake. Jill?
Hello, President Spade, members of the board. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Jill Gallardo. I have been a Delaware parent since 1991. I have served on every position possible to volunteer at Delaware, over 20 years on the parent club, including president. I think 12 years as your site council president, and I was smart enough to marry the finest man I've ever met, and I met him at Delaware, and arguably, I believe, the finest principal that's been there as well. I can say that proudly. I really wanted to reach out to you today and ask, I'm not advocating for any person, but I would advocate for the person that's shown an interest in the district previously. I get this in my position as well at times where people will show up and it's, well, where have you been? Have you volunteered in the district? Show me where your commitment was prior to the running for the board or serving on the board, because it's a massive step. So I want to see that it's somebody that's involved in our community. I will tell you, I'm not loving the questions, and I'll always be brutally honest. Transgender, you're going to follow the law. The House passed yesterday a ban on the sports. If you don't follow the law, you won't have any federal funding. So why would we ask that? It's not going to be a board level decision. It will really come from the law. So I'd encourage you to focus on the issues for this community. In particular, you need to hire a superintendent. And we all know if you want quality candidates, you've got to show that you have a cohesive board. People don't come to work for boards that they don't know that they're going to have a job long term. So I think it's really important that you guys work together as a team. It's crucial that we see that happen. Putting on my other hat, as mayor of the city of Rockland, I want to thank you for the service that you provide to our students. Not everyone is aware that a portion of the city of Rockland is and always has been in the boundaries for this school district. And I will tell you the hundreds of hours that my husband and I spent walking neighborhoods, Rockland passed that school bond. It's 70% Rockland voters. It would have failed in Loomis. And we made it. I mean, it was some pretty stressful times in my household when we got to that 55% and a lot of sleepless nights. I think he would have been crushed if we hadn't made that happen. So we really support our schools. We do meet with our other large Rockland School District on a quarterly basis with a 2x2. I would like to see that happen here too. So we communicate. How can we support you as a school district? What are we doing that will impact you as a school district? So I will send out that request, but I would hope that we could do that and make sure we're working together as a team. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I appreciate that, Mayor. And I've heard of the 2x2s, and I know that to my knowledge, hasn't been a practice, or at least not in my short time on this board. So I'm definitely interested, and I look forward to hearing from you. Looks like we might have another public comment.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm so glad that I came, and I just came as a parent and grandparent, and a school volunteer. I should say my name's Patty Pierre-Pandong, and my husband and I have lived in the Bowman area since 1978, and it's a wonderful community, and our neighbors are dear to us, and we've got all sorts of viewpoints just in our little Bowman neighborhood, and we managed to get along, and I'm very proud of that, and I think it's a wonderful community, and I feel like I'm a part of it. I didn't come thinking that I would comment, but I just thought I'd share that to me, as somebody who I did read the mission statement, and I was looking forward to coming and just hearing what's going on. I just live 5 minutes away. But I was impressed particularly with Tracy Tweet and John Burdette. They seem to have the most understanding of the questions and of the overview of the situation and what is going to happen, what their job would be. So I thought that really stood out. As just somebody who's been a community member for a long time, I thought that they really stood out as people who understood those two issues. Or those issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. If there's any other member of the community that would like to say anything, I know we've got student board members here. If you would like to share anything, you're certainly welcome to at this time before the board starts making some calls.
Yeah, so I
Thanks for
know,
being-
hi, I know that all of us want to say like who we're wanting to, or a preferential vote, I suppose, on just who we think that really showcased, great qualities when we were going through this application process. But I really want to urge the board that when you're deciding on this position, that you sort of take into consideration a lot of what the applicant said and sort of the community values that they were thinking of, and just really focusing on the students, because I think that's something that oftentimes when we are put into like these political situations and stuff, the student site gets lost. And I think that's really where we need to just focus on, especially coming up. And with CBE and a lot of the different things that we've decided as a board, we just really need to focus on the students. And I know that fellow students of mine at Colfax and then even throughout the district, like we've all sort of felt that way. And that really our perspectives are the ones that really need to be advocated for. And whether it's us as the student board members or just with your guys' help, we really want to focus on what the students believe. So with that being said, I really do think that Tracy tweet is the best decision for this board. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. I don't see any other action on the front row. We're good. 2 thumbs up. All right. Thanks, ladies. All righty. With that being said, thank you. I would now like to ask each trustee to identify in no particular order no more than their top 3 applicants. And Dr. Caminetti is going to keep track over here, starting with Trustee Underwood.
Can you
Your top 3, Dave.
I believe that candidates, you're welcome to stay as we list that out. If we go to a second round, just as a sidebar, and I'm going off script just out of memory here. If we have a second round of questions, candidates who remain in the second round will be asked to be excused so that you guys aren't hearing the questions in advance if we have a second round. All right. Thank you.
What was your question again, Jessica?
Would you like to share in no particular order your top 3 candidates? Up to 3, you don't have to share 3.
Yeah.
The names.
You want me to list them right now?
Yep. Yes, please.
My top choice is, let me get the Taffy Ann Maurer. And my second choice is John Burdette.
Thank you. Trustee Duncan.
Sure. My 2, I'm going to just go with 2, Emerson Lake and Sean Smith.
I can't help myself. I'm a note taker. I know you've got it handled over there. Okay. All right. Trustee Jeffries.
First, I want to say thank you to the applicants coming out. This is going to be a really difficult decision for us, I think, because we really have some qualified people that I think we can all tell that really care about the district and our students. The 3 names that I have in the top of my list are Taffy Maurer, John Burdette, and Tracy Tweet.
And it's me. I also, Dr. Lake and Smith. Acting Superintendent Caminetti. Could you please summarize which applicants were identified by at least 2 trustees?
Sure. On my list, I have Taffy Maurer was identified twice, John Burdette was identified twice, Emerson Lake twice, and Sean Smith twice. Does that confer with you as well?
Yes. All right. Given the rankings, if any trustees believe that there may be 3 affirmative votes to appoint one of the applicants, they're welcome to make a motion to appoint that applicant at this time. And given the fact that each of these members had 2, or applicants had 2, I think it'd be appropriate to move it through to the second round. How do you feel about that, Board?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. As we do not have a motion to appoint at this time, we're going to ask our finalists a second round of 3 questions. If those remaining applicants that are moving forward to the second round would please leave the room at this time. So that would be Mrs. Powers, Mr. Burdett, Dr. Lake, and Mr. Smith. If you would please head back to where you were. We apologize and thank you. You're getting your steps in.
And just clarification that
Yep.
Dr. Lake went last, so he'll go first in this round.
Yes. So we're going to go in reverse order. So sorry, Dr. Lake, you'll be first. Thank you. Sorry. All right. As we have more than, nope, no, we do not. Let me double check.
So we have
Okay.
4, correct?
We have 4. Yep.
Clarify the order just so I could.
Yes.
So we have Emerson is first.
Emerson,
John,
Did you hear that?
Yep.
Okay.
Emerson, John, Sean, and Taffy would be last. Thank you.
Okay. So Acting Superintendent Caminetti will announce the names of those applicants identified. I'm just making sure we're on track here. Okay. Thank you for our finalists. I also want, apologize, I'm double checking my script here. Okay. Nope. No, we do want to thank all the applicants who are here today and hope that if you weren't identified to participate in the second round of questions, that we will see you to continue to support the district through other opportunities. We will now move to the second round of questions, and we'll be asking the applicants to answer them in the reverse order in which the applicants answered the first round. And thank you for already being ready at the podium here, Dr. Lake, and the other applicants have stepped outside. All right. Trustee Underwood, Trustee Duncan, and Trustee Jeffries will move forward with these questions, starting with Trustee Underwood.
In terms of student achievement, what do you think should be the district's top area or areas of focus?
I feel like the biggest challenge moving forward in the immediate future is finding a superintendent and someone who's going to reflect the values of the community, and it's going to basically be the direction of this school district. In terms of student achievement, I feel like I have a nephew with special needs. He's on the autism spectrum, and he's in another district. And I feel like there's a lot of challenges facing students who are neurodiverse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not an easy. It's a very challenging situation, but I feel like there are policies that the board can discuss and generate that can address some of these issues. And one of them in particular is school bullying, which has, it's easy to throw your hands up and say bullying has always been around and it always will be around. But I've seen evidence that there are schools that have programs that are very effective in addressing this challenging issue. I have my own personal ideas, but I think priority number one is choose the right candidate for superintendent. And two, let's look at what we're doing as a group there's new challenges. It's crazy what technology has done for our community, and excuse me, moving on.
Finish your point. I mean, that last sentence, I'd like to hear that.
Well, especially with my kids, this is a new generation who they are attached to their devices, and it affects their education. It affects how they're learning. And I feel like there are there's some really good ways that you can integrate technology with education. I'm not sure Common Core is the number one way to go, but I feel like this has to be considered when talking about the future of education in this district. It really is at one of the top of my list as far as.
Great, thank you.
All right. Okay, with a finite budget set by the state, a governing board is tasked with making complex financial decisions, which often include difficult trade-offs. What do you believe is our top fiscal challenge, and what are your thoughts about addressing it?
Well, there are some high schools in the district that are kind of dilapidated, and Colfax High School in particular has a lot of, we were just talking about this in the parking lot. These schools are old, and the funds aren't there to really address every issue. I think it's really important that you have a collaboration with people who are in the know and discuss and identify what are the top, and see if you can come in agreement on where the priority should be when you're talking about these funds. I mean, so my answer is collaboration and getting the right people in the room to identify the most important issues and see if you can't reach a consensus.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Looks like I have two separate questions. First question, what will you do to become a more effective as a board member?
Well, first off, there's a lot I need to learn. Going through the slides is one thing, but there's a lot of details. I have a lot of questions, and I've been talking to a lot of different people. I have, I think it's safe to say, dozens of patients who are involved in education one way or another. And I get a really good broad sense of, what teachers are challenged with and what students are challenged with, because I have a lot of patients who are students as well. And so I'm particularly passionate about education. I have been since in dental school. They elected me to be their president, and then I was the student body president, and we didn't necessarily agree with the administration, but the outcome was we were able to work together. We brought in, it turned into like a research paper that was published in the Journal of Dental Education because of a disagreement in policy in the administration. And anyway, to become a more effective board member, I love the details. It's going to require a lot of reading, a lot of consideration, a lot of studying, and to be well-versed on all the issues. But I think and this is a later question, I think, but one of my strengths, I think, is really listening and understanding where people are coming from before before you make judgment, be fully informed.
Okay, thank you. My next question for you, is there anything else about you or about the school district that you would like to share?
I mean, I think the school district stands out. If I'm not mistaken, Placer Union ranks among the highest in performance and compared to the state in different areas of the state. So, hat tip to the district and to the administrations that do a fine job. We have our own set of challenges, but I think this process, there's a system in place to move forward and to make the right decisions. About me, this community has kind of a soft place in my heart. Some people ask, why would you want to be involved with the school board? And I've had a tug for a long time about getting involved with education. My own dental school is opening up a facility in Sacramento, and that's a whole new direction of education as far as they're integrating medicine with dentistry in a clinic for the underserved in the community. But I guess you could say I care a lot. I have a heart for especially those who are underserved. I appreciate the value in giving back, and I have a lot of respect for people who have put in the time, put in the years, put in the service, and I feel like it's a time for me to give back. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Caminetti or Clerk Duncan? Who's up next?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
It's John.
John Burdett? Okay. Our staff's awesome. Thank you guys for being on top of it. Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. We'll do the same. I believe the questions were shifted, so they're on the podium as well. Is that correct? Yes? Are the questions right there for you?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and start with Trustee Underwood.
In terms of student achievement, what do you think should be the district's top area or areas of focus?
Well, in terms of student achievement, I would think that we need to make sure that we have the proper curriculum, grading system, and resources available for our children through classrooms, technology, community, and after-school services. Those are the top things that come to my mind.
Thank you.
With a finite budget set by the state, a governing board is tasked with making complex financial decisions, which often include difficult trade-offs. What do you believe is our top fiscal challenge, and what are your thoughts about addressing it?
Well, I think there's two areas in my belief of the fiscal challenge. One is student enrollment, which drives revenue. And I believe that, we need to make sure that our students, we're actively recruiting in the area and growing our student population. I also believe that, we have to make difficult trade-offs when it comes to special programs versus facilities versus sports versus all of the needs of the children. So really there's the cost aspect of becoming more efficient and stretching our dollar further and becoming more effective, maybe through energy efficiency and or other types of programs to where we can make our dollar go further. And then there's the revenue generation side of it, making sure our kids are healthy, coming to school every day, so we get that funding. Also trying to grow our student population, maybe bring in more students here in advertising and marketing. And I believe our top fiscal challenge, would be those things right there. Trying to get more revenue. If you have enough revenue, then it's easy to allocate costs.
Can I get an amen?
Yeah.
All right. Trustee Jeffries.
All right, sir. So I have actually two different questions for you. So the first question is this: what will you do to become more effective as a board member?
What would I do to become more effective as a board member? Well, I would, first of all, tell myself in my mind that I'm 100% committed to the position. I am a professional at time management, and I will offer my skill sets where appropriate. I believe I can add value in the areas of construction, finance, and making our facilities a healthier environment, more productive environment, through indoor air quality, through better lighting, through helping generate revenue, through grants, rebates, and incentives. Many of the programs that I put together for other K through 12 school districts, we bring a lot of money to the table. Veolia, the company I work for, also offers a STEM program at no cost that I've been able to offer here to the school district, which is a online course for people who decide not to go to college. And it's for water and wastewater treatment operators. And these are online courses that I could bring to the school district to help those individuals develop a career path at no cost. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. My last question for you is this. Is there anything else about you or about the school district that you would like to share?
Yeah, because of my facility experience, I'm also very in tune with fleet electrification. And I know that the state is trying to get us to change all of our school buses from the diesel to the EV and or zero emission vehicles, which is a huge expense. So when we're dealing with costs, it's like, how do we afford that? Also, the utilities are not prepared for the entire population to switch over to electric vehicles at this point in time. So we're helping K through 12 school districts prepare for that change. And we're also involved in lobbying with the state to potentially slow them down a little bit on that. Let's see here. I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. On deck. That's all for now.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sean Smith. Welcome back, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Trustee Underwood, we'll take it away again. Questions again are before you on the podium.
In terms of student achievement, what do you think should be the district's top area or areas of focus?
Student achievement. I believe, focusing on the education aspect of it, and so combined with that is obviously our teachers, and ensuring that we have the right teachers with the right skill set they'll help the students in our community, get to their highest level of achievement. I feel like we've as with all areas that I've worked in, there's stellar employees, and then there's others that maybe could use a little more training or help, and so I think focusing on leveling up our teachers all across the board would be good to help the students with that in mind, as well as just another one is just around just the extracurricular activities for students, having a wide breadth of things. I know that my kids, when I remember it was one summer, I think we let our son have a little too much free time, and he spent it doing, video games and other things. And at the end of the summer, I regretted that very much. And so I truly believe that making sure all kids have opportunities to be busy, doing things, whether it's sports or clubs or what have you, just ensuring that they can just have opportunities to mingle with others, develop those social skills, but also grow their own talents and things that they enjoy themselves.
Thank you.
Yep.
With a finite budget set by the state, a governing board is tasked with making complex financial decisions, which often include difficult trade-offs. What do you believe is our top fiscal challenge, and what are your thoughts about addressing it?
Yeah, everybody's program is probably number one in their own mind, and so that must be a difficult thing to assess and come up with. I think trying to assess. I feel like infrastructure is always one that I hear a lot of in recent comments, just around the needs of the different things going on in all the schools. And so I think it's important to prioritize where funds should go based on needs versus wants, and trying to define what those are, aligning with, okay, what's our goals as a community in terms of, okay, what are we trying to achieve with the school board, focusing on the students. And so trying to have some type of level of priority, and then looking at urgency as well. I've got my background is in IT, and so I've managed a lot of IT projects, and you know, not all I don't think any of the IT projects go over perfect. And so at the end, when there's a release, there's always issues that come out, and we always have to manage them priority as well as urgency. And so really kind of assessing things in that manner is probably the best way for the board to address those fiscal decisions.
Thank you.
All right, sir. So I actually have 2 questions here. So you'll have 2 minutes for each question.
Okay.
First question is, what will you do to become more effective as a board member?
So I neglected to put this in my thing, because I was thinking more of civic service that I've given, but I also have donated my time to religious as well as Boy Scouts. I forgot about the time I've spent doing that, but where I lack is just understanding the processes and procedures. I am new to the board member game, and so understanding the rules and everything, and how to play and how to operate. So there would be a learning curve there for me personally. So that would be number 1, and this 2 is just, I would want to make sure I get caught up on all the urgent issues that are on top of mind, CBE being one of them, as well as understanding the needs of the individual schools, and also just teacher feelings, and where they feel things are in terms of good, bad, and ugly.
You ready for the next question?
I'm ready.
All right. Last question. Is there anything else about you or about the school district that you would like to share?
I would say so a few years ago I mentioned I was in the IT world. I've always had this desire to become an entrepreneur, and I became a partner with a crumble cookie store, and we have 2 locations with my partner. One's in Rockland, and I have enjoyed that, and it just mingling with. There's a lot of students that come in, and my kids also there. I had my son come home one day. It was a couple of years ago, and said he had a bad day at school, and he didn't have a good experience with the sub. And so I thought, how hard is it to be a sub? And so it's not hard. So I went through the process of becoming a sub, and so every once or twice a month I would go and sub at Del Oro, and try to be my goal is to be a good influence on the kids there, and mingling with them, and trying to help them think maybe outside the box, what's next, what's outside of their phones, and really just trying to help them think about life and what's beyond, what's going on there. But I feel like I grew up in Roseville, went to Roseville High School. Del Oro has always kind of been a gem, it was always like, trying to, whether it's in sports or anything, it just seemed like Del Oro was always something special. And so when we moved up here, we were really excited about moving into the Del Oro High School district. And I feel like there's something special here, and like to keep that going. And so that's my motivation, is to be here to make sure that whoever fills that board seat is someone that's going to try to keep maintaining that high level and keep the district going in the right direction.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. And our final applicant in the second round is Taffy. Mrs. Power. Mhm. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
same process as before. The questions are before you on the podium, and we're going to kickstart the questions with Trustee Underwood.
In terms of student achievement, what do you think should be the district's top area or areas of focus?
Math right now. Sorry, I've got a little frog in my throat. Math. It's math right now. That's your top focus right now is math. Math is tough. Math is hard. Keeping kids engaged with it. But let's work on the math, even if we have to go back to a little bit more basic to move forward. Let's focus on the math. That's number one right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
With a finite budget set by the state, a governing board is tasked with making complex financial decisions, which often include difficult trade-offs. What do you believe is our top fiscal challenge, and what are your thoughts about addressing it?
Your top fiscal challenge a lot of times is teachers, okay? It's educators and their costs as well. And that is a challenge because we love our teachers and we have to figure out better ways to work their schedules, figure out better ways to utilize their strengths so that we can help meet those physical challenges, because that is a tough one. Labor is always a huge challenge financially for any district.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ma'am. I have the last two questions here. They're one at a time and 2 minutes each. So here's the first question. What will you do to become a more effective as a board member?
To be a more effective board member, I need to, first of all, catch up on reading on rules and regulations. You know, there's so many as a school district. I was much more caught up on them before, but I have to do more catching up right now. It's something that has to be done, because if you know the rules, you know the regulations, then you know how you are more effective in creating a change as well. So I know I would do that. I also would like then, since I would be a board member, that I can make more school visits. It's very important to get in, hands-on, observe, engage, talk to the students. It's really all about the students. I'm sorry, the questions from the first round completely threw me off. It's all about the students. That's the only reason any of us are here. Talk to the students, talk to the teachers, go out in the community and talk to the parents. That's what I would do as to become a more effective board member.
Thank you. The last question. Is there anything else about you or about the school district that you would like to share?
I think our district is on the right path. You've made some changes. You're on the right path. Some changes happen. There's a reason why things happen. Okay? Nothing is by accident. You're on the right path, as I have been reading up and reviewing, because this opportunity popped up. It wasn't something that I could immediately, I figured I had a couple of years to get ready. Okay? So, and I feel you're on the right path. You're asking some very tough questions. I just want to make sure that we're always listening and encouraging conversations. I love to hear that teachers and students are having conversations. I love to hear that parents and teachers are having conversations, and that we're having, and the parents are having conversations with their kids about school. That is super important. And as long as we keep those conversations going, and some of them are going to be uncomfortable, but we're always listening, and we're listening with open minds. We listen with open minds, and we advocate for the kids religiously the whole time. Just keep that. What's that focus? Kids, kids, kids. then we're all going to be fine. Thank you for letting me speak about that. I'm very passionate.
Thank you.
Very much.
All right.
Alrighty. Finalists are welcome to come back into the room. Thank you to all the finalists for your answers. We do appreciate it. And now we'd like to ask if there's any further public comment on our finalists. Each member of the public wishing to provide comment will be allotted 3 minutes if there's anyone who would like to share feedback on our 4 finalists. All right. Sure, thank you.
So I think it's been pretty clear. It's been brought up from other people too that it's looking like there's not only the decision in terms of the direction that we're going to take as a school district, but there is a little bit of an undercurrent of political action in addition to possibly what's best for the kids. And I just urge the board to put what's best for the kids, what is going to fill the need of our school district above all else.
Thank you very much. Mr. Coons.
I'm going to be really brief.
Sure.
You know, tough choice, but the one person who has a record of community service and active involvement in the community is Taffy Maurer. That's all.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your guys' feedback, your thoughts, and all of our applicants for your time. I know there was some controversy. I'm going off script for just a moment because I want to acknowledge some of the feedback. And being recent in a campaign a couple of years ago and going through this season this past time around, we wanted to ensure through our ad hoc committee that we were addressing some of the things that were consistently coming up within the community so that the community, while we're not streaming at this time, we are recording and it will be posted later so that the community understands where people are at the questions that I was asked, that other candidates were asked during campaign season. I think it's important and relevant. The second round of questions addressed some things more specifically to our school district, but I want you to understand that that's where it was coming from because these questions come up on a regular basis and it's important to understand who may understand or not what's going on with our district and moving forward what they have in mind to bring to the table. So again, appreciate your feedback and comments. At this time, we will now entertain a motion to make the appointment. It will take an affirmative vote of at least 3 board members to make the provisional appointment. So, with that being said, board? If you'd like to take a moment, you may do so.
Can I say something while we're deliberating?
Please.
So to the 4 applicants that are still here today, I just want to thank you again for coming out. You guys are all 4 of you are very well qualified. You seem to all be very well involved and engaged in the community, and I would love to work with any of the 4 of you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I second that. Thank you, Trustee Jeffries.
Yeah, I'll say one thing as well. This is a really difficult decision. Obviously, the 4 folks that are left are all qualified, in my opinion. But definitely, I appreciate too stepping up because I know what it feels like to step up and do this, and it means a lot for the community as well. So thank you.
I concur with that. We're all here to as trustees to try to do the best we can to provide quality education for our kids. That's what it's all about. All four applicants, I felt, have much to offer the district, and I am very appreciative of you coming up and giving us your time, your interest, and wanting to become a member on the board. So I just want to say thank you.
I'll kick it off. I'll say that what was important for me was conviction, and that was part of my decision making process here. So just making sure I have this right. Just motion to appoint. Okay.
So it'd be, I move to appoint their name to
Yep.
fill the current board vacancy.
Yeah, I would move to appoint Emerson Lake to fill the current board vacancy.
Second?
I will second that motion. And that Dr. Lake would be my, all candidates were excellent, but that was where my support lies.
We have a first and a second for Dr. Lake. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All oppose?
Opposed.
We have a new board member with a vote of 3-1. At this time, Dr. Lake? Yes, I have. Thank you. Come on down, Dr. Lake. We're going to swear you in right now. Again, thank you all. And congratulations to Dr. Lake. We are going to swear you in at this time. All righty. Sure. Got a few papers here.
Oh, my good side's over here. I got a sty. A little nerves this week. I don't know where those come from, but they're no fun.
Does he have a paper up there as well? All right. Sarah? All righty. I state your name.
Repeat after you.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Raise your hand.
Okay.
Thank you. I state your name.
I, Roy Emerson Lake,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California.
I take this obligation freely,
I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Lake, please join us at the dais. Congratulations. If you'd like to make a final statement, you're certainly welcome to do so.
This feels kind of surreal. This all happened really quickly for me. But I feel like we're at an important, like I've made some comments earlier, we're at an important juncture in education where I'm feeling very grateful that I will be a part of that with you all to discuss these important matters of every, high school in this district. And it truly is an honor. And I appreciate the comments from everybody that spoke today. And if I'm being honest, I personally felt Tracy Tweet was the most qualified. So I'm not sure why this worked out the way it did, but I'm willing to serve, and I am grateful for the opportunity. So thank you all.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to item 4, adjournment. And do I have a motion?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been first and seconded to adjourn our meeting. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Nay. That's a wrap. Thank you.
Just really quick.